Hello students, good morning. So in the previous video we talked about how liquid applies pressure on an object, and we saw how dams are created or constructed in such a way that it can withstand the pressure of water. We also saw that as the depth increases, that means depth increases, then the pressure increases, and as the height increases, pressure decreases. So on the top of the container the pressure of the liquid is less, and at the bottom of the container the pressure of the liquid is more. Okay, so now we will talk about other things. What about air? Okay, so air also exerts pressure. Okay, air also exerts pressure on the container in which they are kept. Now let me explain. Suppose this is your ordinary bowl in which you have kept water. Okay, so what water does is that from the first activity that we studied, that is this one, we know that pressure is exerted at the bottom of the container and on the walls of the container by the water. In the same way, suppose we have another container in which just air is kept. For example, to demonstrate this, we will take an example of a balloon. Okay, so a simple balloon in which air is filled up, we know that air is applying pressure, because when you try to squeeze it, you feel that something is pushing your hands backwards. That is not just rubber, that is actually the air applying force or pressure on the walls of the container depending on which area you have touched. Okay, so more area means less pressure and less area means more pressure. So in the same way, air also applies pressure on the walls of the container in which they are kept. In this case, the container is the balloon. Okay, I repeat, air also exerts pressure on the walls of the container in which they are kept. Now because this is air and they are much more, you can say, in motion, the air particles are much more in motion than the liquid particles. They also apply pressure on the top side of the container. In this we saw that liquid applies pressure only on the bottom and the walls of the container. In the same way over here, air also applies pressure but on all the sides of the container. Okay, not just on the bottom and the sides but on the top side as well. So the pressure applied by air is everywhere in which container they are kept. Now we also use this for our advantage as well. Air pressure, we use them in vehicles. We use them to pump our tires. We use the air in our vehicles so that we don't feel the bumps of the roads, and it is much more comfortable than using an actual wooden wheel or metallic wheel that we used to do in the previous generations. So air pressure is good for our usage in vehicles because it applies pressure on all the walls of the container. I hope it is clear. Now one important term that I would like to mention over here is that in science we use the term fluids. Okay, listen very carefully. This fluids means liquids and gases. Okay, fluids is the common name given for liquids and gases. So when we say fluids apply pressure, it is true, which means that liquids and gases, they both are applying pressure. Remember this very carefully. Fluids means liquids and gases which are applying pressure. Okay, when I say fluid pressure, it just does not mean that liquids. Fluids also mean gases. It is a general name given for liquids and gases. Okay, fluids, fluid pressure. I hope it is clear to you. Okay, now we will talk about the last topic of the chapter, that is atmospheric pressure. Atmospheric pressure. Okay, this is different from air pressure. Air pressure is when air is kept in a container and atmosphere is everywhere around us. So we are talking about atmospheric pressure and not just air pressure. So atmospheric pressure is the pressure applied by atmosphere, or you can say atmospheric air around us on an object is called atmospheric pressure. So the pressure applied by atmospheric air around us on surface of an object, I forgot a word, surface of an object is called atmospheric pressure. Remember, pressure always acts on the surface of an object. Okay, so the one object is applying pressure on the other object by coming in contact to its surface. Remember that. So over here, atmospheric air is applying pressure on an object but on its surface. Okay, so atmospheric pressure is applying pressure on a surface, right? So atmosphere is around us everywhere. That means it is applying pressure on each and every object. Now because we have pressure everywhere around us, that means we do not experience it. That means if I keep this pen over here, that means air is applying pressure on this side as well, and air is also applying pressure on this side as well. So they both balance each other. Equal pressure is applied. That is why we do not feel any change, or we do not experience the pressure. So how to experience the pressure? So we have done this experiment in 7th standard, if you remember, when we talked about winds, storms and cyclones. So in winds, storms and cyclones, there was one activity about a tin box. We had a tin box. Okay, we heat it up, we heat the box, and then after some time we keep the lid open so that the hot air inside expands, and then when it expands it requires more space, so the gases little bit escape from the box. When that happens, after some time we close the box, so inside there is less air compared to outside. But because it has expanded now we remove the candle, and then we place the tin can in cold water. So we splash the cold water on it. So what happens is the hot air inside starts cooling down, and because there is less air inside and more air outside, atmosphere will start applying pressure on it, and this tin box will experience atmospheric pressure, and because of which this tin can will start to crush itself. Okay, it is the same experience when you use a cold drink box. Okay, a small box like Fruity or Appy. You have a small straw over here like this, right? And when you are done drinking everything from inside, you suck all the air out of it. Okay, so what happens is the box becomes crushed, right? So it is not because you have sucked the air out, because there is no air inside, so the air outside is applying the force and pressure and then crushing it. So the force applied on each and every surface is creating pressure on this small box, and that is why your box is getting crushed. So it is not because you are sucking the air from inside, it is because of the pressure outside, and there is no pressure inside. Before there was air inside, so the can was not experiencing anything, it was balancing, and that is why the air from inside, when it gets sucked out, there is no pressure to balance it from the inside, and that is why the outside pressure crushes the box. I hope it is clear to you. Before moving forward, same thing can also be experienced on a force. You might have done this in school already. Suppose you have this one bench over here, a simple desk on which you and your partner are sitting, and your partner wants to move the bench over here a little bit, and Your other partner wants to move the bench on the other side. Now if both of you are applying equal force, then this bench will not move. Same thing is happening over here. We are talking about force. Let's say you are applying a force of 50 newtons and your partner is also applying the force of 50 newtons. Then the bench will not move. It will not experience anything. The same thing is happening over here. The air inside was also applying equal pressure to the air outside, and therefore we did not experience anything. So in order to move the bench, one of you must apply the force greater. Now suppose one of the student applies a greater force. Now it is applying, let's say, 60 newtons of force. So which force is more? Obviously this one. So the bench will move in this direction. But what is the actual force on this bench? So the actual force on the bench is 60 newtons minus 50 newtons. So what you get is 10 newtons. Although you are applying 60 newtons, but your friend is applying 50 newtons, so the bench will only experience the force of 10 newtons. I hope it is clear to you. Yes? Okay. So we move forward to the final topic that is in your textbook, in which an experiment of a scientist is given, which goes by the name Otto von Guericke. Okay?